Welcome back to Healing Home. This week we welcomed 4 new piggies into our homestead, which has been a hoot. We knew this season of our life would feel very busy, but now that it's here, the overwhelm has set in a little bit. I'll tell you more about our pigs later on in this video, so stay tuned. I thought it would be fun to show you some of our routines and changes in our home as the seasons change from winter to spring. Spring often is a time associated with new life, and it seems fitting this year as we just welcomed little Waylin into our family. The last month with him has seemed like a lot more frantic than I would have hoped. We've had a lot of appointments with him to troubleshoot while latching for his been so hard with feedings. I've fed my other 3 babies with minimum problems, but this little guy just hasn't had all the mechanics together to make it work. We're getting closer, but in the meantime, I'm doing a lot of pumping and feedings, which takes a lot of time and effort. I was so worried about not being able to bond like him like I did with my others, and I will say that I do think it took longer, but the bond is just as strong. Springtime is such a special time of new life and renewal. It's a time to look at what's been working in a family unit and see what needs to be adjusted. That's exactly what we've been doing as we enjoy warmer weather and quality time as a family. Throughout today's video, I thought it would be fun to sprinkle some springtime Bible verses into the mix, so you will hear about 5 or 6 verses sprinkled into this video. For behold, the winter is past, the rain is gone and over, the flowers appear on the earth, the time of singing has come, and the voice of the turtle dove is heard in our land. Song of Solomon 2:11-12. With 6 people in our home now, coming up with a better laundry routine has taken some time and effort. I have never been one to do laundry very well. I'm more of a dump and go kind of person. There's no sorting into colors, textiles, or texture in our home. I do laundry by person instead of color or texture. Instead of any sort of fancy routine, I simply make it my goal to at least do 1 step of laundry each day. On days that I'm home, I do multiple steps like wash, dry, and put away. But on work days, it's simply one of those steps. That keeps my mind space healthy without overtaxing my days with laundry. One of my favorite household transitions in spring is hanging laundry out to dry. I don't know about you, but there is something so comforting and relaxing about seeing laundry waving in the wind and the smell of fresh laundry coming in from the line. I just love it. I started my laundry line routine last spring, and it was one of my favorite practices all summer long. There was some research I listened to on a podcast last summer about the power of working with our hands, and honestly, I think that's part of the reason why I love the clothesline so much. Instead of just throwing our laundry into a machine, although convenient, it makes me work for the results. The podcast I listened to went on to cite research about the health benefits of working with our hands. There's been something lost in modern conveniences. We don't do physical labor in the same way as we once did. We throw laundry into a machine instead of washing or hanging them ourselves. We buy bread at the store instead of working the dough ourselves. We drive vehicles instead of walking to our destination. There are machines for dozens, if not hundreds of tasks that used to take physical labor. One of the more fascinating things that I've read and listened to about working with our hands is that when we do more work with our hands, even simple work like knitting, gardening, or coloring, we can reduce anxiety and depression symptoms. I don't know about you, but if reducing some mom anxiety by doing more tasks with my hands is going to reduce anxiety, it's well worth the time it takes. But this I call to mind, and therefore I have hope. The steadfast love of the Lord never ceases. His mercies never come to an end. They are new every morning. Great is your faithfulness. Lamentations 3:21-23. During this spring, we start transitioning our meals as well. Don't worry, I'm still making all the sourdough my kitchen can handle. On this particular day, I put my hands to making more brown bread, which is a super easy sourdough recipe that turns out really well, even if you make some mistakes or switch out some ingredients. One of the reasons I love it is that you mix it all in a stand mixer, so it's basically a dump and go kind of recipe. You'll need a half cup of active sourdough starter, 2 cups whole wheat flour, 2.5 cups all-purpose einkorn flour or a substitute, 1 3/4 cup water, a 1/4 cup gentle sweet or stevia substitute, a 1/4 cup molasses, a 1/4 cup of soft butter, 2 tablespoons of honey, 2 tablespoons of cocoa powder, a teaspoon and a half of salt, and some rolled oats. Then combine it all in a stand mixer and let it work until everything comes together. Then you'll increase the speed and let it work again until the gluten is developed and passes the window pane test. The rest of the instructions can be found at healinghomerecipes.co. It's one of our favorite recipes now, and each morning I'm putting it out with some hard-boiled eggs and some peanut butter and honey or whatever else is appropriate for breakfast, and my family is just gobbling it up. I've tried to be a meal planner for years, and it's only been in the last 1 or 2 years that I finally realized something. I'm not, and never will be, a traditional meal planner. I can't be that rigid in the kitchen. However, without even knowing it, I'm what I would call a seasonal meal planner. Basically, what I do is that I rotate recipes based on the seasons. For example, right now I'm transitioning my soup recipes to more light spring and summer recipes. With the recipes that I use seasonally, I simply know what ingredients to buy to keep my kitchen running smoothly. During the spring and summer, I make a lot of chicken salad and pea salad, so when I grocery shop, my staples that I will buy will change to more celery, peas, etc. Chicken salad is my favorite meal ever. I make it for my birthday every year, and I can't really tell you why I love chicken salad so much, but it's something that I loved even as a child. I find it refreshing, and it ends up being on our rotation all spring and summer. Another recipe that I'll typically bring out throughout each season is pork bites. If you need an idea that is a homemade meal, but as easy as driving through a fast food restaurant, then it's this recipe. All you need to do is cut up some cuts of pork into bite sizes, and then season with Redmond Reels barbecue seasoning. You'll need to douse it pretty good, but it is a crowd pleaser. We tend to pair it with potatoes or carrots. If you're intrigued by this idea of meal planning seasonally, I've started to include a winter, spring, summer, and fall meal planning pages in my membership planners. Let us know. Let us press on to know the Lord. His going out is sure as the dawn. He will come to us as the showers, as spring rains that water the earth. Hosea 6:3. We have so many plans for our homestead this year. I've learned over the years to just have 2 to 3 main goals each season and then have extra goals that, if time allows, we can attempt. This year, one of our 2 to 3 main goals is building a farm stand to have at the end of our driveway. I'll admit that it's 100% my goal, not Dan's. My intention is that the farm stand will have duck eggs to sell, chicken eggs to sell, einkorn sourdough starters, some bouquets of flowers, and whatever else I come up with. I really hope that we can make this one happen. Our second goal was and is to optimize our pig systems. We decided that this year that we are not going to butcher our own pigs, which was just too much last year. We also are going to attempt to graze our pigs on grass, so we're hoping to get some premier fencing and rotate them on pasture. Both Danny and I are nervous about this, so we'll see what we get to. Like I said earlier, we went out and got pigs this past weekend, and it was a blast. We picked them up from about an hour away and was able to have a grandparent watch 3 of our 4 boys, which really took some pressure off of Dan and myself. We upped our pig count from 2 to 4 this year, and we are really excited to optimize this system and hopefully sell some pork at the end of the season. These are Idaho pasture pigs, and it's the second year we've had them. Previously, we had Magnalista pigs. The Magnalista pigs are a heritage breed and are known for their superior lard production. Idaho pasture pigs are a newer breed from 3 heritage breeds: the Berkshire, the Duroc, and the Cooney Coon.
It's been said that Idaho pasture pigs have the gourmet meat of the Berkshire pork, hardiness and mothering ability of the Duroc, and the sweet disposition and inclination to graze of the Cooney Coon. Of course, when you live on a homestead, you also tend to have things just land in your lap. Earlier this spring, we picked up 6 ducks and a goose for my cousin and his wife, who had decided that they were just not in the season of life to support the ducks and goose. We'd picked them up as a family. This was before Waylin was born, and it was really a hoot. We need to replace the shed that we got from them. Although it's a very nice duck shed, our microclimate is considerably more windy than where the little shed originally sat, and we've already had it blow away a couple times. Goosey Lucy is currently my favorite farmstead animal, if we're allowed to have that. Geese can really be hit or miss if you get a friendly one, and Goosey Lucy is certainly friendly, loud, and quite entertaining.
I am so excited for our gardens this year. Our third larger homesteading goal is our gardens. We had a rough year last year with growth, and this year I am hopeful that we will have a better harvest. I have been planning both our gardens with the Territorial Seeds Garden Planner, which is a subscription. This isn't a sponsorship or affiliate, in which you can literally go and drag and drop plants into a garden space that you've designed to reflect your own garden dimensions. The program will then tell you how many plants you'll need, when to plant them, and what your harvest should be. It's a really valuable program and I highly recommend it, plus it's really fun. We want to grow a year's supply of onions and potatoes, along with getting a significant crop of broccoli and tomatoes. On this particular day, I went out to the garden to plant 200 onions, and in my naivety thought I'd be able to get it all done. Well, my kids and time had its own idea, and I only got 1 row planted. After 1 row, I realized that if we wanted to get our dinner, which happened to be the pork bite meal I mentioned earlier, made, I would need to pause the planting. As mothers, homemakers, and homesteaders, we certainly constantly learn the value of flexibility, don't we? Be patient then, brothers and sisters, until the Lord's coming. See how the farmer waits for the land to yield its valuable crop, patiently waiting for autumn and spring rains. James 5:7. We currently are taking a break from homeschooling for the spring and summer months. I mentioned in another YouTube video that we do have some summer curriculum that we're hoping to get through. But even with those hopes, I'm mostly prioritizing play for our little ones, with the exception that I'll be doing read aloud with them no matter what. I suspect that we will get through a couple more Laura Ingalls books this summer, which the boys love. We've been taking a nature-based class on Mondays, which the boys have been enjoying immensely, and Wyatt is impressing me with his natural ability to learn to read. He's been sounding out signs on the road and different words that he sees. It just goes to show you that kids really will pick up on learning, even when the structure is not inside of 4 walls. Even with our tiny little strides with learning, I firmly believe that some of the greatest learning my boys will ever do is within the family unit where Jesus is worshipped. We are far, 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 far from a perfect family. But even in our failings, we try to aim our eyes at godly principles and seek the forgiveness of a perfect Savior. When my boys are grown, if the only thing they learned is Jesus, then that will be enough. Yet this I call to mind, and therefore I have hope. Because of the Lord's great love, we are not consumed, for his compassions never fail. They are new every morning. Great is your faithfulness. Lamentations 3:21-23. Whenever I watch these days in a life type of videos, or in this case more of a look into what our spring season looked like, I find myself inspired by the homemaker or homesteader. Typically, I take away a recipe to try or a skill to tweak and apply to my own home. That is what I hope that these type of videos do for you. I certainly do not homemake perfectly, and we certainly do not homestead perfectly. We homestead with lots of flaws. Regardless of all of our failings, I truly do hope that you've taken away something or been encouraged by something you've seen or heard, as we've shared just a little peek into our healing home.
May the God of hope fill you with all joy and peace as you trust in him, so that you may overflow with hope by the power of the Holy Spirit. Romans 15:13.